Good morning, City. Alright, I hope everybody that joins in is having a great Monday morning. Today I'm just gonna jump right into it after a few minutes. Again, today's topic is be a thermostat, don't be a thermometer. And now I'll explain to you what's going on, bro. I'll explain to you what that means in a little bit. I'm just gonna wait for a few more seconds. People join and I'll get started. Alright, so essentially today's lesson, like I said, is be a thermostat, no be a thermometer. And I want you to kind of think about that and ask yourself, what's the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer? Like, what do they do and what makes them different from each other? Well, if you think about it, a thermometer measures the temperature that already is, whether it be, what's going on, Bruce? Whether it be cold outside, hot outside, or it's inside or in your food, but it measures the temperature that's already there. What's going on, Eli? If you think about a thermostat, that dictates the temperature of the house, so that changes it to be cold or warm. It just kind of controls, and it doesn't sway its control based on what the house is. It tells you what it's going to be. What's going on, Anthony? It tells you what the temperature is going to be when you set it at a certain level. So I was reading this book by Martin Luther King called Strength and Love, and I'm just going to read you the quote that kind of sparked this frame around. He says, or to change the figure, most people, and Christians in particular, are thermometers that record or register the temperature of the majority opinion, not thermostats that transform and regulate the temperature of society. What's going on? So, what I wanted to talk to you about today is following the crowd or agreeing with the majority opinion. I think a lot of people, especially my age, are more agreeable and they kind of follow what's popular and like what's popular, do what's popular, and they don't really put their own thought process into the movement. They don't really think about what they're doing, they just do what they think is popular. And I think that's, in my opinion, a kind of faulty way of thinking, a kind of, for lack of a better word, a weak way of thinking. What's going on is a weak way of thinking. So I want to encourage you today and going forward that you should not follow the crowd and, oh, I just like this, or I retweet this, or I do this because other people are doing it, or because it's popular, it's acceptable. Like, you say you like a certain music because everybody else likes it, but you never listen to CD. You say you like a certain team or a certain basketball game because everybody's talking about it, but you have no clue what you're doing. You see like a certain style of clothes or anything like that, or something even bigger. You like anti-gun laws because you're following the crowd, but you have done no research or reading into the topic and what it entails. You are pro-life not because of your religious stance, because that's what most people around you are, so that's what you choose to follow, and that creates a very dependent and, like I said, like for a better word, weak frame of mind, because you're not thinking, you're not putting any research, not putting any time or effort into what you're saying, what you claim that you believe. You kind of just I don't know, stand. That's what you think is right because other people, that's be your mom, your dad, your family, your friends. That's what everybody else around you is saying what you're supposed to do. But again, you have to really think about what you believe. And a lot of times that habit is hard because that's what you're used to doing, just kind of agreeing with somebody else. And agreeableness is one of the bad big traits that lead to being successful. Less agreeable people tend to be CEO. So going forward today, when you hear something that you might not in your core necessarily agree with, but you're scared of retribution, scared of what people are gonna say, or you don't want to be disappointed people, dislike people, shake that off. That's the same thought process that some white folks during segregation, they were against it, but they didn't say anything because they didn't want to be persecuted, or stuff like that. And that's a lot of what Martin Luther King talks about in the book. And a lot of people avoid unpopular opinions because they just don't want to be persecuted. And I think that leads to a lot of short-sightedness, and you end up being on the wrong side of history, just like those white folks and stuff like that. So you really want to change that frame of mind. You really want to have your own thoughts, have your own feelings, and express that openly without fear of retribution because that's what you believe. And I think also people should be able to express their opinion, whether it be anti-gun, pro-gun, openly with other people, what's going on here, openly with other people, and not feel like they're going to be attacked. You may vehemently disagree. You may not want to hear it, but I think it's always good to hear another perspective. But again, your goal should never be to accept what is given just because that's a popular opinion. That leads to, again, a very faulty set of thinking, and it's just a weak mind frame. So again, do not be a thermostat. Do not be a thermometer, because that just measures what's out there and it kind of accepts what's given to it. Be a thermostat, so you are the one that's dictating and changes in temperature and available in that frame of mind. Also, I want to let you guys know that this Monday I decided to adapt 3 new habits. One of those habits are that I charge my phone in another room, so I'm not constantly checking it in the middle of the night. I'm not worried about what's doing, or I'm not disturbed by any notifications, so I get a complete good sleep. I also make my bed every morning, so that's kind of like the first sense of accomplishment for the day. And I really think, starting the day off, and then you coming back to your bed it's already made, that takes a little stress off you. And number 3, I don't touch my phone during my first waking hour, so I spend that time reading, meditating, and writing out goals for the day, or just having a meaningful conversation with somebody. So I think, meaningful conversation with myself, but I think everybody should try to adapt one habit. Even if it's as simple as I'm going to get up at this certain time every day, or I'm going to drink water when I get up, or I'm going to stretch, do something that's attainable. Don't set a ridiculous goal like I'm going to do 250 push-ups every morning, because what if one morning you miss it and then you miss it again and you start having it? You're just not doing that. So set something attainable. Maybe 1 push-up a day in the store, no matter hell or high water, no matter what's going on, when you can always just do 1 push-up, and that's a goal that's attainable. So as you go on, slowly adapt something new into your life every day. But remember, popular opinion is cool, but if it's not what you truly believe, don't just accept. Anthony says some people don't realize who they really are because they are so accustomed to being who others want them to be. I mean, that's very true. A lot of people just, like I said, accept and think that's how life is, and they don't even take the time to think on who they really are, take time to reflect on who they want to be, or who they're striving to, because they're used to accepting that popular opinion. I think a lot of people especially my age coming out of school, what's going on, especially a lot of people coming out of school, you're not taught to really think for yourself. You're taught to learn something and kind of take a test and pass it. But people have to take time to do research, read, learn how to think for yourself, because that's very important for you if you want to be successful. Think, don't conform to the norm, be a non-conformist, be independent, think for yourself. Today is the first of a two-part series I'm doing on this book. It's called by Martin Luther King, called The Strength to Love. Today was about being non-conformist, so don't be a thermometer, be a thermostat. And next week, I'm going to talk about hard-heartedness versus soft-heartedness, and tough-minded versus weak-minded. And that'll be a wrap for that season. But look forward to that. And remember that the darkest night often precedes the brightest morning. So keep the faith. Have a successful Monday. Write your goals down. Do everything you do and do it well and with a precision and passion. And remember, don't try to build a wall. Just lay one brick at a time. And before you know it, the day will be over and you'll feel much better about yourself. So tune in next Monday at 9 a.m. for Motivation Mondays to talk about tough-mindedness and soft-heartedness. Thank you guys. See you later.